Hi, welcome to Podcast on the Porch with Carrie.
And Teresa.
But today we're podcasting via Carrie's couch.
Oh, I like it. I pedaled over here because you couldn't leave your house.
No, I'm single momming it this week. That's okay.
We had to do one. Our two listeners have been demanding that we do a podcast.
Yeah. We had to apologize at August and September.
It was a blink. I don't even know what happened.
Really got away from us, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll say that we had tried to get some stuff done, and between my jobs and your jobs, we just weren't able to line it up with people being sick and all the rest of that jazz.
But our two listeners can now be comforted because we are back on schedule.
Yes, we are. We'll at least get 2 done a month. Yes.
So, I have a couple questions because I know things that our two listeners don't know right now. Tell me about, Carrie's got these 2 crazy air filters in her house, and it is glowing red. Carrie, what does this mean?
I have 2 air purifiers. They are red. They're in different parts of my house, and that is, they are red when your air quality is bad. Most people know that I only live a couple blocks away from the Jordan Inn. What used to be the Jordan Inn.
Yeah.
That they're currently digging through that rubble and all that stuff. The air purifiers in my house have actually been red since that time. And
Did anything, red is the worst color, right? So
right.
that then all the land fires and it just never changed.
Nope, it never changes. What's interesting about the one that's here in my living room is that it's got a 3-month filter, but the 3-month filter doesn't last 3 months. There's a filter light on the top that'll start blinking, and we were counting it, and we get a filter for about 28 days, and they're not very cheap filters, because we bought the one that really cleans your air, because I'm a severe asthmatic, got a kid, and my husband uses CPAP at night, so
yeah,
we really want to make sure everything's all cleaned up. But yeah, and we've had these for a while, but you would never know that, I could dust this whole living room and within 30 minutes it's covered again.
So I also have that problem, but it's because I live right by the railroad, and I live in a 100-year-old house, and it's not airtight. And so my problem is different than your problem.
But yeah, and it's, what's funny is that it's not dust. It's actually black when you clean.
Oh.
Yeah, it's gross. So that's the joy of living where I live at this moment. I'm really hoping that once they get all that crap cleaned up and winter arrives and the fires die down around us, because didn't somebody say there was a fire like 20 miles out or something?
I know. And then isn't North Dakota?
North Dakota's on fire. Yeah, that just... Yeah.
Oh, Carrie. And then I don't get on Facebook a lot, but sometimes I'll get stuck in those reels, and then pretty soon hours have gone by and I don't know what happened. But I've been looking at the reels of all of the rescue work over in North Carolina, and all the people that are coming forward and helping, and like the home state people over there that are just in the neighboring states, that they're all helping out in North Carolina at that.
And what was making me mad, as somebody that moved from South Carolina, and people's comments of, well, you shouldn't live by the coast. The majority of those towns that are really affected right now are 250 miles away from the coast. And even Tennessee got hit. Tennessee is not an oceanfront state. There's another hurricane that's supposed to hit within the next 3 days across.
Is that down in Florida?
Yep, in Florida. But as a person, again, that lived in South Carolina, we get the after effects. The torrential downfall rain is no joke. Like, you can't even drive in it. They usually shut stuff down quickly. You could be on the interstate freeway there, driving 80, and all of a sudden it's like, whoosh, you're down to 5 because you can't see. And your windshield wipers on the fastest mode can't keep up. And I understand every state has its own storms, own, stuff. I mean, everybody's like, oh, it's Montana. But they fail to realize that us in eastern Montana in the plains, we get the Arctic chill.
Yeah.
We have thunderstorms. We have tornadoes. We have microbursts. We have everything, including earthquakes, over here. The only thing we don't have is tsunami and hurricanes, but we got the winds.
We do have the winds.
I mean, when they were talking about, God, what was that? A couple months ago, that big storm, remember? Wasn't it July? That big, huge windstorm with that rain and stuff that, like, ripped off signs and stuff? That they caught that wind at, like, 98 miles an hour? Like, it's comparable to a lot of stuff that these coastal towns get, or coastal states get also. The only difference is we don't got bodies of water that join into the fun.
So,
well, minus the river, I guess.
Yes. Speaking of bodies of water that we do have, because we haven't been on the air in a while. Let's see. Was it last month that I went on the river? And my usual river run with my kayak is I'll put in at Fallon, and it's about 38 river miles back into town, and typically it'll take like 7 or 8 hours to do that. Well, the headwind hit with white caps, and if I wasn't paddling, I was going to blow myself back upriver. I think it took me 11 hours to get back to Glendive that day. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
it wasn't a tsunami or a hurricane, but it wasn't
You did
pleasant.
drop in on a very windy day, I will admit.
I was having wishes and dreams that it was going to be a nice day.
I only got to drop into the river once this year because my schedule just has not allowed it to where I'm not confident enough like you to go kayaking by myself. I don't know why. I think it's because I don't know all the routes, maybe.
Yeah.
But that we took my husband for the first time, and we decided to kayak up the Yellowstone a smidgen. He whined a lot, and then he had to kayak across the river, and then we kayaked back down. Now the river wasn't that high, T. Let's be real.
It still got a flow to it.
It does.
I would not intentionally try to paddle upstream.
But here's the thing. I mean, for a man that lifts a lot of weight of articles that he's loading in and out of, trucks and stuff, that's like nothing. It just uses the other side of your muscles. That's all.
I believe he would disagree with you.
He will. He will definitely disagree because the last words he said was, I'm not going with you and Taylor upriver ever again.
I wouldn't go with you guys either.
It wasn't even that far. It really wasn't that far. We weren't, like, you could still see the dock from where we were, like, heading to. And so that's why I just chuckle about it. Because by the time he got going and got off away from the dock, it was only 20 minutes. It only took us 20 minutes. So I was just like, oh. And I told Taylor, it was funny because I was like, this is the first time he's been kayaking, right? And we threw him in the river to go upstream.
Oh, but don't forget, when we are by the river, to get our recreation permit.
Yes. And I did talk to Rob at Ranch and Farm, and I was like, let's be real, this is a piece of paper, and I'm going to be in a boat. Can I take a picture of it? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, all right, cool. He's like, just give him your number, your ALS number. And I was like, all right. He's like, they can look them up. I'm like, okay.
So we can get them at Ranch and Farm.
And Runnings, that's it.
And Runnings.
That's it.
And so now, because it's at the end of the season.
They're good till March.
Okay, I was wondering.
Mm-hmm. But a lot of people...
And if you have your hunting permit, If you have a hunting license, then you don't need it.
Right. I'm going to be realty. I'm really mad at the state for doing this because let's be real, you and I are not hunters.
Yeah.
We're not really fishers here. Like,
and then I don't know because I haven't asked. So is that a permit to use the boat dock, or do landowners who then live by the river and they get on the river on their land, do they need that same license?
Yeah.
Ooh.
So when you read about it in the manual, you can't even walk the river edge without that license.
And I have to say that this is not our game and fish. This is not our law enforcement's fault. I mean, now they're having to enforce whatever happened in Helena. And when we have legislative session coming back up, I hope that some of us will figure out a way to let them know that they need to undo this.
Correct,
and
because
this is like overreach. I can almost see using like a dock or using a boat dock, but that's free flowing river. That is, and so for anybody, and so I could see that if we were using the access points that have been developed by taxpayer dollar, but for a landowner that is by their own land and property, I don't know what I think about that.
Well, this is my whole take. I think it's bullcrap. I already pay.
Okay, I think that too.
It's $7 for this license, and most people are like, "Oh, that's only $7." But here's the thing: I don't know about you, but I think you pay it also. Is I pay already the yearly fee for the park.
Yeah.
So that's paying for Fish, Wildlife, and Parks.
Yeah.
Because it's an FWP charge on your license plate if you want to pay it, which is $7 a year. So in essence, I'm paying $14. Now, I would rather just pay the stupid thing on my plate than have to go to 2 places to get this situation fixed.
I know.
Because I have never not paid that, except for, I will take that back, my vehicle that has permanent plates on it. It doesn't have that on it because at the time when I permanent plated it, it was not an option.
Right.
You couldn't do it. But our other 2 vehicles, I pay it every year. No matter if I'm going to the park or not. It's just paid automatically in case I decide to drive to the park. Any park in Montana, besides Glacier and Yellowstone. A lot of people, But I just don't understand when they're essentially the same charge.
Yeah.
Because it says the fine's $100. $100.
Yeah. Yes, I think we need to talk to our local state senators and representatives about this, and bring up that there's a lot of us concerned about this.
Well, and it affects a lot of things because, and I'm kind of wondering if this came about, and this is just a theory, is because we have people that have now profited off of going to our rivers and streams and gone rock hunting and pulling agates out. There's lots of crystals you can find in those rivers and streams. And it makes me kind of wonder because there's so much that is blown up just in our state alone. And you can see that by all the businesses that have been created. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Are they trying to capture people like that? Or what the hell? Because I'll be real, my daughter and son love go rock hunting. Doesn't mean we're not making no profit off of it. They collect some rocks.
Yeah.
Are they agates? Who knows?
I would almost, and I have to tell you, honestly, I have not looked up that law or the history behind it. I haven't. But yeah, we have to do something different than just tax every little thing.
I mean, we're at the point now with the state of Montana that our property taxes are out of control. Our gas taxes are out of control. Now we have to pay to use our river to walk in. Let's be real. At what point are we going to say, you know what, plus we pay income tax?
And so those of us that are working are getting punished for working.
We are, because I don't mean to sound like a snob, but I am really tired of the people that are moving here that are using our benefits that we're paying for. This whole like, oh, well, Montana's so easy to get Medicaid for my kids, and I'm pregnant and I won't have to work if I don't get married, and I can stay on Medicaid so that we get free health insurance, and then only one of us has to work. But we also qualify for food stamps because I'm on Medicaid, yada, yada, yada. And I don't understand how these influx of people that have come in, like, we have 184 jobs opened in Glendive.
Yeah, and
a tiny little community of
unemployment. Yeah.
A tiny little community of 7,000, and look at Billings. Billings unemployment is over 20%, and they have tons of jobs open. Same problem. People are moving in. Missoula, I mean, we've all heard about what's going on in Missoula. Yeah. They've got all these people moving in that aren't from our state.
Well, so then what about like our remote workers then? Because we have a lot of, and then sidebar, Montana has now hit, I believe, we have one of the worst housing problems and the highest highest cost housing now, I think, in the nation.
And that is because, is literally because of all these people that have moved in from places that are like, we're tired of the living, but yet outbid everybody and raise housing to astronomical costs. It's like the oil boom blew up in the state without the oil.
I know. And then, and so then, technically, if you are a remote worker, living here, but your employer is out of state, do you pay Montana income tax on that? If you are if you are choose to live, but you can remote work from anywhere, and let's say your job maybe is from Wyoming, but you move into Montana, you don't pay Montana income tax, do you? Or do you because you're a resident?
Well, they have to change their residency first, and they're finding more and more people are not doing that. Because people are failing to realize that when you work in this state, you're required to change all your stuff within 10 days, and it includes your goddamn license plates and your driver's license, which changes your residency, and people aren't doing that. I work with two people that both have out-of-state driver's license and out-of-state license plates, and have lived here a year.
Really?
Yep.
Okay,
so they're not paying to live here.
And so another fun fact is, I was visiting my oldest daughter and her family over in Hamilton. And of course, over in the western side of the state, they have the same problems with housing, if not worse. They've got the same problems with the service industry, that they have a lot of people in there, but they're almost overloading and overtaxing the service industry that is short-staffed workforce anyway. And so that has been a challenge. We were driving through Hamilton, love it. It's just a lovely place, but there were businesses that were shut down, and I was kind of asking Ricky what was going on there, but it's the same thing. There's some of the smaller businesses that are closing because of workforce, and they are having the same problems with their schools over in that part of the state as we're having here, where they're trying to get I guess, extra, like, maintenance done on the schools, and trying to get the maintenance and upgrades on the schools passed. And a lot of the population that has moved in over there is a older retired population, and so they don't think that their tax dollars should have to go if they don't have kids in the schools. And so their things are getting voted down, just like a lot of our things get voted down over here. And so it is a statewide problem.
It's a nationwide problem.
Yeah.
It honestly is. I was talking to a couple sports parents in the high school. Did you know that they have to pay $750 for their kids to play sports this year? Starting this year in high school?
Like, what sports?
Any of them? The only one is flag football, because that's paid for by the Atlanta Falcons.
Yep.
All the rest of the sports are $750. I have a sports kid, so I'm kind of going to be screwed come high school, because I'm sure it's not going to be $750 when she goes to go play. And I was so baffled when she was showing me how they have to raise this money. So you have to fundraise for it, and if you don't fundraise for it, your parent has to pay for it. And I said, so we have just told all of our low-income parents that their children are not eligible to play these sports because they can't pay the $750. And I was telling the one mom I was talking to, I said, now don't get me wrong, early 90s, I was in orchestra, okay? I played orchestra since I was in 5th grade. Middle school wasn't a big deal. Come high school, we had to sell fruit for a month. Then we did another fundraiser, I can't remember what it was. Plus, you had to either purchase your instrument or rent your instrument from an outside source. The school did not provide any of them. And we had to pay for our uniform. And it wasn't to keep the uniform. It literally was, I think it was like $50 if I remember correctly. And people were like, oh my God. And I'm like, yeah, but it got dry cleaned a lot. You know, because it was a fancy dress that we wore. And the guys had tuxedos. Like, they were dry cleaned a lot.
So.
And we all matched. But, and we went on one tour a year. And it usually was not in the state. Like, we went up to Canada. We went all the way in toward Seattle and played with the other symphony members. Like, we did a lot of stuff. But we had to raise our butts off for that. It wasn't free. And I remember one of my boyfriends played football, and it was $100 back then for him to play football.
One of your boyfriends?
Shut up, though. It didn't sound right. But the only thing is that their jerseys came with them, because their jerseys had their names on them. So it wasn't they reused the same jerseys like they do here. Well, they had 2 jerseys, one white, one blue.
Yeah.
The school I went to. It was their number. They kept the same number all year. Nobody shared that number, and your name was on it. And if you were lucky enough to get your number the next year and stayed in, you know what I mean? Got to stay in, you know, whatever, what is it? Junior varsity and then varsity. You were golden. Then you didn't have to buy a jersey every year. But most people like to buy new jerseys to keep them clean, because those things are a bitch to clean. But so I mean, that was back in the 90s when people dumped money into schools and we were still paying. And I don't know if you guys, I shouldn't say you guys because you didn't live here, or maybe smaller town schools had the luxury of something different than maybe the rest of us.
I don't know.
Because you and I went to big schools, and we didn't go to small. Well,
but the kids grew up here, and you know, and I was so even though I probably was one of the higher paid women in the area, I was still a single mom, and my wage was supporting 5, sometimes 6 of us, and when all those kids were in, because they basically hit high school and middle school all at the same time, that would have been an extra $3,000 for all those kids to play sports. I could barely feed the darn kids. We did a lot of macaroni, and it was like, oh my gosh, I am so grateful that my bunch of monkeys are all adulting now.
Yeah, and I mean, Zoe has played softball since she was, 4? I think 4, right? Because I got her in her first year at T-ball. Yeah. And the price has drastically gone up.
Everything has.
Which is fine. And I will admit, I'm the parent that pays not to do concession. I literally don't have the time nor the energy to people that out. Because I'm already, by the time I am off work to go to a game, I am already burnt out for the day. I am not a stay-at-home mom. You're not a stay-at-home mom. We don't have energy to people with other people by the time we're done with life.
Although I got voluntold when I was in Hamilton watching flag football that I was going to be working in the Booster Club concession stand, which I did.
I'm sorry.
It was a well-run machine over there. They did a great job. Yep, I did it. And so Ricky was playing, or not Ricky, Cody was playing flag football. And there are 17 teams, I think, of the girls' flag football across the state.
Yeah, it's actually took off pretty good. I mean, I remember when we were in high school, the girls did powder puff. Yeah. But I mean, it is what it is. I don't care. Like if somebody told me, "Hey, Mom, I'm going to play football," I'd be like, "All right, you go, girl."
I'm just telling you.
Granted, you got the legs for it. I don't think you should be playing football. You got legs for basketball.
I felt that I thought it was supposed to be like a no contact.
Oh, no.
I feel that they were playing rugby. I think that they were actually playing rugby.
Okay, so Mason was in flag football when he was 3, when we were stationed in Alaska. That ain't no joke up there. Them 3-year-olds play with 3, 4, 5, and 6-year-olds on teams. I just want to let you know that some of those native Alaskans, they some big boys. Okay? If we would have had recordable cell phones back then, I'll never forget the day where Mason had the ball and he's running towards us instead of towards the goal. He's chasing me!
Come on, you little stinker.
But yeah, I mean, and when those kids went for them flags, they were like making sure they could throw somebody.
Ooh.
So I mean,
what else is happening in town?
Junkapalooza
was this last weekend.
Huh?
Junkapalooza was yesterday.
Yeah.
I did not get out there.
I didn't get out there either.
And but that's always popular in town.
Yep. Unfortunately, Jason Sassy is now our Ward 2 councilman.
And
thank God Jason Stewart finally has moved away. Woo woo!
So I signed up. I applied to be on the ballot as a for the local government review for the county. And then I have to tell you right now at this very second, I'm not sure because there's a city government review and the county. So I went on the county one, and I think there was just enough people for both of them.
Yep.
That the county commissioners decided to save that money and not put it on the ballot since it's the same amount of people. So it was, I think, Maria Walker. I saw an email from her. She had actually contacted, it was probably either Shirley at the county or somebody at the state to find out more about, because none of us have heard anything, of course, because actually we were officially supposed to be on the ballot and we're not. And so we will all get notified after the election of which ones we're on and what our responsibilities and directions and instructions for that. So I'm really excited about that. I'm going to try to get into as many commission meetings and council meetings as possible to stay as informed as I can, so that I can be well informed when I'm a part of this group.
Good. Yeah, that's awesome. I haven't been going to as many meetings as I normally go to that deals with City Hall, because this 4:00 meeting crap is ridiculous.
Oh,
And
the committee meetings,
Yeah, and this now having a timer at the committee meetings, I guess they're not going to talk back to us, so, I mean, whatever. They don't answer questions anyway, so just beat about the bush. And I read the law they were violating the other day, and I really wish that the Facebook warriors would start showing up and standing up against the situations that are happening between city and county. Because the county is doing just as much backwards crap as the city is. Like, most people don't know that them commissioners make $60,000 a year and only required to work 4 days a month. I'm not paying somebody to make $60,000 a year.
So, just because I know this amount, I am not quite sure. I did not know that they were minimally required to just do the 4 days. But I know that our commissioners, when you go there, they're, except I think maybe on Fridays, but they are there every day. And then if they don't happen to be in the office on Fridays, they're always available by phone. And so that is something that's really positive about our guys. And all the Huskies came back in.
Yep. Sorry for that on the tape. You get to hear the husky howl because they demand to get their cookies.
Yeah.
They're fat dogs. I can't help it. You know, they have to have their cookies every time they go potties. I love the look I'm now getting calling them a fat dog. But yeah,
So, I mean, I did not know what the minimal amount was that commissioners required to work, but they're really accessible. And even so, working with economic development right now, like I have been, Eastern Plains Economic Development basically covers our 5-county area, and I have to tell you that every county, I have contact information for all of our county commissioners, and there has not been one time, depending on whether it was Carter County, all the way up to Prairie County, all the way around that loop, I have always been able to get
That's
a hold
awesome.
of them in all of the counties. So that's really cool.
Yep. At least you're getting some response. I mean, I still haven't gotten a response back from an email I sent Frank Cian 2 months ago.
Well, he's not a county commissioner either.
No, but, you know, for a city employee that works supposedly Monday through Friday.
What response were you looking for? What did you ask him?
I was told by the mayor to send an email and CC her in it about the reason why these signs aren't changed on the street.
What street signs?
Remember how they were supposed to change this street sign that's in my yard
Oh.
to the end of the street? And how River was... You stop howling at everybody. And how River was supposed to change to 15 because of the way they changed the bus drop zones.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it still hasn't been done. We are over a year now on this.
Oh, signs. Segue. How much time do we have? Where are we at? Are you gonna...
We're at 34 minutes just
Are we
now.
okay? Are we still okay?
Yeah, I mean, we normally do 30, but we've missed a couple months.
Okay. Badlands to Badlands trails. I was able to be on the phone, or it was on a Google Meet with 4 MDT representatives from our local office and up in the state, and then Lelia Mellon works with the National Park Service, and she is she's like their trail guru. And so we were all on the phone because one of the things that we've identified is safety with our adventurers, our visitors, and our cyclists that are cycling on some of our secondary highways. And I had talked to two of our local gentlemen, and what can we do? Because like old Highway 10, well, and like 254 and 253, no, there are like no shoulders on those roads, and we have very active outdoors people who are biking on them. And
Okay, time out. Where's Highway 10?
Okay, it's Old Highway 10. So Old Highway 10 is it kind of weaves back and forth around the interstate. So you'll see Old Highway 10 over by Terry. Old Highway 10 is paved and it goes over by Fallon. And then when you hit over by where the Fallon Bridge is, that's Old Highway 10. Kind of comes around, and then it weaves all the way to the Mattahay and Medora, patches of it. And so we had talked to the state about what can we do to help motorists know that, just to be aware that there are cyclists out there. And I had the coolest conversation today because I think this is a win. Next season, next outdoor fair weather season, there's going to have some cycling signs on different spots on Old Highway 10 here in Montana, and then maybe after that we can look at getting some signage up on the other highways, the Ritchie Highway, the Circle Highway, and some of those. But it was great today. It was great talking to the state. They were really helpful.
Good. I mean, I know their mile per hour signs are very far apart. Mm-hmm. I mean, because it'd be nice if they could just stick a beware of cyclists or something on there.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of rules that I kind of lost track of, but one of the rules guys on the phone was trying to school us on that, and we were just happy. It was a win just to have the conversation that they're going to put up a few to start with, and so I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, because I'm thinking, how we have our signs that they put up for road construction and stuff. Mm-hmm. How the wind takes those numerous times away. That, so that we wouldn't have to have somebody from the state consistently go out to put these signs back up. But that's awesome that they can do it, stuff like that. But I know there's a lot of cyclists out on our interstates, and now that electronic bikes are becoming popular, mm-hmm. which I don't understand anything on them, because I don't understand why you would get a bike that has a motor, because the whole point of it is to pedal.
Weren't those called mopeds at one time?
But it don't look like no damn moped.
I know it. And and also we have to remind everybody, your Montana voter information, I think I just read mine. It has all of your information about the CI 126, CI 127, and 128. That's going to be on the ballot in November. And I don't know, have you ever read that pamphlet before that they put out? It's put out by the state. I like the fact that it'll talk about what that initiative is, and it gives you the proponents, the opponents, and then they rebut each other. And so that you can be as absolutely informed as possible when you're voting. So keep an eye out for that. Read it.
I know I signed a petition to get the abortion thing on ballot. I remember that. Isn't that 128?
That's 128.
Yeah. I read it so many months ago that I think it was back in May. I think it was May. I was like, hey, your body, your choice. You do whatever you want. There's too many children in foster care. Too many unwanted children in the United States. It costs too much money. And that's, it just kills me that as a nation, we have so many unwanted children. and so many starving children, and that prisoners get treated better than our children do in schools by a simple meal.
Yeah. Yep. And what I love about us and our friendship is that we can agree to disagree on some things. And so I like that. I think the most important thing is that crimes need to be punished.
Correct.
All crimes need to be punished accordingly, and that we need to support all people that have either made decisions or have had things happen that they weren't expecting, and that we need to support them, and we need to keep our children safe. And that is what I think, and we must keep our children safe.
I agree with you completely. We need to keep our children safe,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just it scares me that the amount of children that are dying in foster care, that are removed from unsafe homes, but obviously not in a better home when they're dying. We have children in our community alone that their parents can afford to feed them. They don't qualify for free or reduced lunch because of the way that program's done in Montana, because they chose not to take the food grant for our children to have free food. They wanted the other grant instead, and I can't remember what it was, on books or something. And I was like, you would rather get that than feed our children. Cool. Because I'm the mom that packs 2 lunches a day because there's somebody that my daughter is friends with that needs fed.
That is a whole system problem that we need to solve. But
Right?
yeah.
We do. We really do.
So the most important thing is from, we have a lot of problems to solve, but make sure that you get out and vote.
Yep.
Vote informed.
Because it starts with us. It really does.
Yep.
It starts with the local government level. Everybody's like, there's no point of voting. The amount of people I've talked to that tell me they don't vote because their voice doesn't matter, they're wrong.
Yeah.
Your voice does matter. It does at our level. Our level is a huge thing. Sure, we know that little tiny Montana is not going to pick the president. We're not the tiebreaker. We know that. Granted, I mean, we did get more electoral college votes last year they gave us, or the year before? I can't remember which one it was. They moved some more electoral college votes around with the last census. When was that?
Was that in 2020?
Was it in 2020?
I think so.
Yeah. Because we got 2 more electoral college votes, wasn't it?
I can't know that right now.
I'm trying to remember, but granted, I think if they did a census again, we would probably get more electoral college votes because there's a new name for Bozeman and I can't think of it right now. Somebody made up a new name for Bozeman. I heard it the other day and I laughed.
Oh my gosh, they're urban campers though. Holy cow. They,
Do you blame them? Like, where do you expect those people to live that have lived there their whole lives?
I don't know if those are out of state, if they're visitors, but when I was heading west, it's like, holy cow. There was just campers alongside of the road everywhere.
No,
And
those
it's
most
like,
of those.
Are they staying there in the winter?
Yeah. So I ran a whole shebang on them. Most of those are kids from 18 to 30. They're literally your young workers that do not make enough money to rent an apartment or buy a house. Because somebody was telling me like a 1-bedroom is like $3,700 a month in Bozeman.
Good grief.
Our mortgages aren't even that.
No.
Like, my mortgage isn't even half that. But, like, that's just That's just is insane to me.
Anyway.
I don't understand how you could send your kid to college there and expect them to find somewhere to live. Because the college said they ran out of dorm space.
Good grief. What do you think? Should we close it up? What if you have the opportunity to go to the next council meeting, we should do a podcast after the council meeting. See if there's anything to discuss.
It's what, the 3rd? Tuesday. Not this Tuesday, but next Tuesday. Right?
Yeah. We can consider it.
I think, that's the week that I took Wednesday and Thursday off.
Yeah.
I'm trying to wing it to where I get 2 days off and they're in a row.
For making those donuts, girl.
Shit. All right. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us on Carrie's Couch.
On Carrie's Couch podcast with Teresa and Carrie.